Is time travel possible? Well, this is a question asked by many people over the several years, and no one has yet been able to very clearly confirm or deny the possibility of time travel. But to answer this question in plain and simple terms, yes, time travel is possible. But not the way you're thinking. To explain it, we first have to understand how to measure time. Again, we human beings use clock to measure the moving time in seconds, minutes, and hours. With this perception in our mind, we are constantly moving into the future with every passing second and leaving the past behind. Every action you take is being taken in the future, and when performed has shifted in the past, which now cannot be undone. Again, this is not how anyone wants to time travel in future. We want shortcuts. We want to skip a certain period of time, like a year, 50 years, maybe 100 or even a millennia into the future. But that is not possible, at least not with the technology of our time. If we think a little deeper, then a question arises. If time travel was to be ever possible, then where are the time travelers from the future? Why has no time traveler come from future to visit us in the present and tell us all about the future of humanity? To answer this question, it simply means that even if time travel is possible in the future, then it might not be possible to travel back in time, in the past, but only in the future. Now, let's suppose if time travel becomes reality in the near future, what will be the possibilities with such advanced control of time in hands of us human beings? First thing, people might want to do is go back in time and undo their wrongdoings. Perhaps something that made their future bad or even worse. But there's a catch. Even if humans get an opportunity to travel back in time, anything they change in the past will not change their future. Now, you may think, how is it possible that changing the past doesn't change the future? There is a very simple answer to this. Just suppose that you have a time machine in the year 2023 and you travel in the past, in the year 1999. Now this past becomes your future, and your former future becomes your past, which can now not be changed by your new future. I know it's very trippy, but the more you go deeper in the logic of time travel, it gets more and more complex. As we don't have a time machine, we can't travel in time, but the genius Albert Einstein found a way to do that. Albert Einstein found that time is not a constant, but is continually moving forward, and we are moving forward with it. To put it simple, while you walk, not only you move in space, but also in time. According to Einstein, time is the fourth dimension, and together with three-dimensional space, it's fused into a single four-dimensional continuum, space-time. The secret to time travel isn't in some exotic form of matter. What you need is a spaceship that could travel almost as fast as light. Einstein's theory of relativity taught us that the faster we move through space, the slower we move in time. Let's assume you were in a spaceship traveling at 99.9% the speed of light, to a potentially habitable exoplanet some 40 light-years away. You find some primitive life forms and speed back to Earth to share your discovery. But when you finally make it back to Earth, you discover that all of your colleagues are now very, very old. From your perspective, you had only been away for about 2 years. For people on Earth, you had been gone for 80. This phenomenon is known as time dilation. It's not likely to happen to you though, because traveling with the speed of light isn't quite possible with the technologies we have now. The fastest piloted vehicle we've ever created only reached the speed of 11,000 meters per second. The speed needed for time travel is somewhere around 299 million meters per second. On top of that, accelerating at that speed would cause an enormous centrifugal force. A force that would rip you apart before you came anywhere close to light speed. Looks like our bodies just can't handle the speed of light. But hey, we still have wormholes. Einstein predicted that these theoretical tunnels link two separate places and two different times. A shortcut to another universe and to another time. A wormhole sounds like a real-life time machine. Not that anyone has ever observed one, but even Stephen Hawking believed that there are plenty of them around us. The problem with wormholes is that they are extremely tiny, just a billion trillion trillionths of a centimeter across. No human would be able to pass through. But wormholes have their issues. They're very short-lived, and traveling into the past would create paradoxes. like the one in which you go back in time and convince your grandmother never to get married. Your grandmother didn't give birth to your dad, and he didn't have you. But if you didn't exist, who went back in time to talk your grandmother out of marrying your grandfather? Time is linear, it only goes forward. For that reason, we can only travel into the future, not the past. In fact, astronauts that spent about a year on the International Space Station are now living in the future compared to us. Even though it's just 13 milliseconds in the future, they create the probable possibility that traveling in time is possible, as in science fiction. And maybe if we get the chance to study them, wormholes could open a whole different world. A world where the laws of physics work in a different ways and traveling to the past is possible. As amazing as time travel sounds, it's not really as fun. Let's suppose somehow you are able to travel in time. There is a possibility that you go to a long-forgotten time in the past, out of curiosity, and get stuck there, living out the rest of your life in who knows what condition. Similarly, with the advent of controlling time, comes the possibility of alternate timelines, meaning every time you go in the past or future and change anything, you create an alternate timeline, a new world or universe where things will play out differently than the one you left behind or came from. These new infinite branch realities could cause the timelines to collide with each other, and who knows what disasters could happen then. We can actually design the time machines, but most of these, in principle, successful proposals require negative energy, or negative mass, which does not seem to exist in our universe. If you drop a tennis ball of negative mass, it will fall upwards. This argument is rather unsatisfactory, since it explains why we cannot time travel in practice only by involving another idea, that of negative energy or mass, that we do not really understand. If time travel becomes an option, would you dare to step into a time machine not knowing how you would impact the lives of billions of people in the timeline you visit? That's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. If you haven't already, then don't forget to subscribe and press that like button. Also, hit the bell icon, so you could never miss new updates from us. Thank you for watching, and we will meet you in the next one.